It was supposed to be just another ordinary evening for Daniel Hayes. The 34-year-old single father had finally wrapped up a long day at work and was looking forward to nothing more than spending the night with his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Ever since his divorce 3 years ago, Daniel's world revolved around her. Her laughter, her stubbornness, the way she always insisted on choosing bedtime stories herself. She was his anchor, the reason he kept pushing forward despite the exhaustion that gnawed at him most days. That evening, Lily had begged him for ice cream. Daniel, though tired, couldn't resist her wide pleading eyes. So they stopped by the busy downtown strip near the park where families and couples often gathered. The streets glowed with warm yellow lights, and a street performer played the violin on the corner. Children laughed, vendors called out, and everything felt safe, until Daniel noticed something that made his blood run cold. Across the street, barely 20 yards away, a man was dragging a young girl by the wrist. She couldn't have been older than 16. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with terror. She struggled against him, kicking, twisting, whispering something he couldn't hear. The man's grip was tight, unyielding, and his body language screamed aggression. To everyone else, it might have looked like a parent scolding a rebellious teen, but to Daniel, it didn't. He saw fear. Lily tugged on his sleeve, pointing toward the ice cream shop. But Daniel's eyes were fixed on the girl. His instinct screamed at him. Without a second thought, he shoved Lily gently behind him. "Stay right here, sweetheart. Don't move," he said firmly, his voice more urgent than usual. Lily blinked, sensing the seriousness in her father's tone, and nodded, clutching her stuffed bunny tighter. Daniel sprinted across the street, weaving between cars that honked angrily. Adrenaline coursed through him, quickening his pulse. He reached the man just as the girl cried out, "Please. Let me go." That was all Daniel needed. He didn't hesitate. His fist connected with the man's jaw in a sharp, powerful punch. The man stumbled backward, releasing the girl instantly. Gasps rippled through the bystanders, and a few people stopped walking to watch the scene unfold. The girl collapsed against the brick wall, clutching her wrist and sobbing. Daniel placed himself between her and the man, his chest heaving. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Daniel growled, his voice low, protective, dangerous. The man spat blood and glared at him. "Mind your own business. She's mine." Those words sent a chill through Daniel. "She's not property," he snapped. "And you're not taking her anywhere." The man lunged at him, but Daniel was ready. Another punch, this time to the stomach, doubled the man over. Someone in the crowd yelled, "Call the police." Phones came out, and a couple of people began dialing frantically. The girl reached for Daniel's sleeve, her voice trembling. "Please, don't let him take me." Her words broke, but her eyes were pleading, desperate. Daniel knelt slightly, softening his tone for her. "You're safe now, I promise. I won't let him hurt you." Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance. The man, seeing the flashing red and blue lights approaching, turned and bolted down a side alley, disappearing into the shadows before officers arrived. Daniel considered chasing him, but the girl's panicked breathing kept him rooted. She needed him more than the cops needed another chase. 2 officers rushed over. "What happened here?" one demanded. Daniel explained quickly, how he saw the man dragging her, how she screamed, how he stepped in. The girl, though shaken, nodded vigorously in agreement. The officers took down their statements and asked the girl her name. Through shaky breaths, she whispered, "Maya. Maya Collins." She refused to give more details at first, curling into herself as though every word might make her more vulnerable. Daniel could see her trembling, and he crouched down to her level again. "Maya, it's okay. You're safe now. The police will protect you." Her eyes flicked to his, wet with tears. You believe me?" she asked, as if it was the most shocking thing. Daniel frowned. "Of course I believe you." Something in her face cracked then, relief, sorrow, exhaustion all rolled into one. She nodded slowly. The police suggested taking Maya to the station to file a report, but she clung to Daniel's arm like a lifeline. Lily, who had been waiting nearby under the careful eyes of a woman from the crowd, came running up. She looked at Maya with curiosity, then back at her dad. "Daddy, is she okay?" Lily asked softly. Daniel brushed a hand over Lily's hair. "She will be." Then he turned to the officers. "Look, she's terrified. Maybe we can give her a moment before you take her in." The officers, seeing Maya's distress, reluctantly agreed to let Daniel escort her to a nearby cafe until a social worker arrived. They stayed close by, keeping the area secure. Inside the warm cafe, the three of them sat at a corner table. Maya hugged herself, staring at the table as though afraid to meet anyone's eyes. Daniel ordered hot chocolate for the girls, and Lily, innocent and unfiltered, offered Maya her bunny for comfort. "His name is Mr. Floppy," Lily said proudly. "He makes me feel better when I have bad dreams." Maya blinked at her, tears still sliding down her cheeks, and slowly reached out to touch the bunny. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. Daniel watched this exchange, his heart twisting. Whoever that man was, Maya clearly wasn't safe. He didn't know her story yet, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty: he couldn't just walk away. After a long silence, Maya finally spoke. Her voice trembled, but the words came. He's not my dad. He's not family. He took me weeks ago. I ran tonight, but he found me again." Daniel's fists clenched under the table. Rage boiled inside him, but he forced his voice to stay calm. "You don't have to go back to him. Not ever. You did the right thing running." Her wide eyes searched his face, as if waiting for doubt, for disbelief. When she found none, her shoulders sagged with a mixture of fear and hope. And that's when Daniel realized. His life, already complicated as a single father, was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. Because protecting Maya, this frightened, broken girl, suddenly felt just as important as protecting Lily. And Daniel Hayes was not the kind of man to walk away from someone in need. The cafe smelled of cinnamon and roasted coffee beans, but Daniel barely noticed. His attention remained fixed on Maya, who sat across from him clutching Lily's stuffed bunny like it was her last anchor to sanity. Her hot chocolate had gone cold, untouched, while Lily happily slurped hers through a straw. Outside the window, the red and blue lights of police cars pulsed against the night sky. Officers stood by, giving Daniel space but keeping watch. A social worker was on her way, but Daniel could sense Maya's dread growing with every passing minute. "Maya," he said gently, leaning forward, "you're safe now. No one here will let him hurt you again. Do you understand?" Her hands tightened around the bunny, her knuckles white. "You don't know him," she whispered. "He always finds me, no matter where I run." Daniel felt a chill crawl up his spine. He had faced many hard things in life, losing his father young, a brutal divorce that left him raising Lily alone, but the raw terror in Maya's voice was something else entirely. It was the sound of a child who had lived too long in the shadows of monsters. He forced his tone calm, steady, protective. "He won't find you here. The police will make sure of it. And so will I." Her eyes flicked to him, wide and disbelieving. "Why, you don't even know me." Daniel didn't hesitate. "Because no one should ever go through this alone." Silence hung between them, broken only by Lily humming softly while drawing shapes in the condensation on her cup. For a moment, Daniel thought Maya might stay silent forever. But then she spoke, her words trembling out piece by piece. She told him about the night she'd been taken. She'd been walking home from school when a van pulled up. The man, her captor, had been watching her for weeks. He promised not to hurt her if she obeyed, but his promises were lies. He moved her constantly, from one rundown house to another, keeping her hidden. She had tried to escape twice, and each time he had caught her and punished her. Tonight, she had finally broken free during a stop near the park, only to be dragged back before Daniel intervened. As she spoke, Daniel's jaw tightened, fury bubbling beneath his calm exterior. He wanted to storm into the night and hunt the man down himself. But he had Lily to think of. "And now, Maya, thank you for telling me," Daniel said when she finished, his voice rough with emotion. "I know that wasn't easy." Maya wiped her face with trembling fingers. "No one ever listens. They always think I'm lying. He told me nobody would believe me." Daniel leaned forward, meeting her eyes with unwavering certainty. "I believe you. And now the police believe you, too. You're not going back to him." For the first time since he'd seen her, Maya allowed herself to breathe. When the social worker arrived, a kind-faced woman named Susan, Maya instantly recoiled. She clung to Daniel's sleeve, shaking her head furiously. "No, please, don't make me go. He'll find me if I leave with her," she cried, panic surging back into her voice. Susan crouched down, her tone soothing. "Maya, I'm here to help. I promise you'll be taken somewhere safe." But Maya's grip only tightened. She turned her desperate eyes to Daniel. "Please, don't let them take me." Daniel felt torn. On one hand, Susan was trained, and foster care or a shelter would keep Maya monitored. On the other hand, the girl was clearly traumatized, and every instinct in him screamed that handing her over now would break her trust completely. He looked at Susan. Can she stay with me tonight? Just until she feels safe enough to transition. I'll sign whatever you need. Susan hesitated. That's highly irregular. You're not a foster parent. But I am a father, Daniel countered. His eyes softened, but his voice was steel. And right now, she trusts me. Don't rip that away from her. Susan studied him for a long moment, then finally nodded. One night, but tomorrow morning we'll need to discuss next steps. Maya exhaled in relief, her grip loosening slightly. Daniel wrapped an arm around her shoulders protectively, silently vowing he wouldn't let anyone force her into more fear. Later that night, Daniel drove both girls home. Lily fell asleep in the backseat, her bunny resting in Maya's lap. Maya stared out the window, quiet, her face illuminated by passing streetlights. When they arrived at Daniel's small but cozy house, he showed Maya to the guest room. The walls were painted pale blue, with a quilt his late mother had made folded neatly on the bed. This is yours tonight, Daniel said. Maya hovered at the doorway, uncertain. What if he finds me? Daniel crouched, meeting her eyes. He won't. I locked the doors, the windows, everything, and I'll be right down the hall if you need me. After a long pause, Maya whispered, thank you, and stepped inside. But Daniel's night was far from over. Around midnight, a noise outside jolted him awake. He slipped from bed, heart hammering, and moved to the front window. His stomach clenched when he spotted a dark figure across the street, standing perfectly still. Even from a distance, Daniel knew. It was him, the man who had taken Maya. Watching, waiting, Daniel's fists clenched at his sides. He wanted to march out there, but he had two sleeping girls in the house. He couldn't risk it. Instead, he grabbed his phone and called the police, reporting the sighting. By the time officers arrived, the figure had vanished. Still, the message was clear. The man hadn't given up. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains, but the tension from the night before lingered. Maya emerged from the guest room cautiously, as though unsure if safety could really last. Daniel made pancakes for the girls, watching as Lily tried to cheer Maya up by stacking hers into a tower. Maya even smiled faintly, but Daniel's mind was already racing ahead. He couldn't just sit and wait for the system to protect her, not when the man was already circling. When Susan returned to discuss next steps, Daniel made his decision. I want to apply for temporary guardianship, he told her firmly. Susan blinked. Mr. Hayes, that's a long process. Then start it today, Daniel cut in. She needs stability, not another stranger's couch. She needs a home, and she already trusts me. Maya looked up at him, stunned, hope flickering across her tired features. Susan hesitated, then finally nodded. I'll file the request, but until it's approved, she still has to be under state supervision. Daniel agreed, but inside he knew one thing. Paperwork or not, he wasn't letting her go. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she whispered, Daddy, is Maya gonna stay with us? Daniel brushed her hair back gently. Maybe. Would you like that? Lily nodded. She's nice. She needs us. Her words struck him deeply. Out of the mouths of children came the simplest truths. When Daniel checked on Maya afterward, she was sitting on the bed, hugging the quilt to her chest. You don't have to stay if you don't want to, Daniel said carefully. But if you do, this house will always be safe for you. Her lips trembled. Nobody's ever said that to me before. Daniel swallowed hard. Well, I mean it. She nodded, a tear sliding down her cheek, but this time, it was a tear of relief. But as Daniel turned off the light and closed the door, he couldn't shake the image of the man standing across the street. Watching, waiting. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. And Daniel Hayes knew one thing with unshakable certainty. If that man came anywhere near Maya again, he wouldn't just punch first. He'd make damn sure there wouldn't be a second chance.